topic, or to begin with, it's the Robin Hood theory. So I want to talk about what's the relationship between social class and crime. You go to the next slide. So, does anyone know who Rob Blagojevich is? Yeah. So really quick, so you can scroll down a bit. So, alright, so he was found with all 10 counts involving wire fraud, each of which carries a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison. When in actual reality, he was actually be able to stay home, and for 14 years he was able to, and do you know what reason why he was charged for things? Anyone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even though it says the maximum penalty is 20 years in prison, for each count he was only given 14 years. And one of the things I really wanted to talk about was the fact that there's so many things between injustices, especially with minorities. So you think about how someone in prison, who would be in prison, who is, let's say, a black male or someone who is Asian or Latino, you think about that if they were charged with tax fraud, that they'd be given at least the maximum penalty of 20 years. They'd given that hard penalty with a large amount of bail as if they can afford it. And we have CEOs who are primarily white, who actually can pay off their bails and can actually just slip through. So one of the things I wanted to do was I was going to do an experiment where I had 2 students come up, and especially if I give them a Sharpie, which is, I guess this is the next one, but if I give them a Sharpie and I wanted to show them the direct reflection of how if we have a student who is African American and one student who is white, that in relation to that, if we have someone who is in power and someone to really talk about how what they should deserve. So one of the things is a Sharpie. How many demerits is it per Sharpie? 4, right? And do you think if you can afford getting 4 demerits right now before you graduate?
I'm good. I got like a little more time.
Yeah, sure.
You never know.
Anyways, one of the things is that if we were in a school, which is a much different environment, which a lot of the teachers would say were like racist, which I hope not a lot of them are. But if that is the case, then we have someone who's going to be biased to one race. And if one of the students has a Sharpie marker and they say like, hey, that's student merits, you shouldn't have that, like just don't let it happen again. Versus one of the other students who is a minority and they'd be getting 4 demerits straight off the bat without any excuse, and a lot of people would get pissed off about it, right? And I guess that wasn't the right word, but, and then you can scroll down. So, the lifetime likelihood of imprisonment, for all men, about 1 in 9 of, let's say like Angel all the way up to Julian, out of all 3 or 4 of you guys, about 3 of you guys would be in prison out of everyone in the class. Versus 1 in 17 white males and 1 in 3 black males in the room. And you think about how that correlates to the injustices that we face in America, especially how if you have a lot of money, you can escape with anything, especially if it's murder. You think about our government, how we send troops to other countries, and they have so much power and they have so much liberty and money that because they're able to do that, they're able to be illicitly doing anything. Especially for mobsters, you think about how they're able to pay off police officers. In Mexico, we have a lot of cartels, and they're able to pay off the government and fund corporations where it can just be corrupted, and they can slide through things. So one of the solutions I wanted to propose is that I know that a lot of the kids that were talking about awareness, and it is a really big thing that if you wanted to make a change, especially not even if it has to be a huge change in the world, especially if it's just a change in one person, that you can at least stand up for something that you're passionate about. Something that you're passionate about, especially if it's dealing with rights. We have like the civil rights movement that happened during the 50s and 60s. So right now we're having all lives matter, right? And it's not just the idea that people conceptualize that the Black Lives Matter movement is something that's only directed to a certain group, when it really is, because it's been such an impact in our society, especially at this time, that we have to be focusing on one certain group at first to handle the rest of us. one of the solutions that I proposed was being more aware. Not only that, but at least starting out where, because we're all going to be in college, that we can all at least do something and give back to the community, and especially because we're going to be 18, that we all can vote and vote for people that we believe in and those who can make the change.